My name is Matt Hornburg, and I'm a partner and executive producer at Marble Media. Marble Media is a content creation company that basically creates stories for multiple platforms, rooted in television, web, and mobile. It's been around since 2001, and we have a staff of about 20 people. Really, the past couple of years have been focused on expanding our brands internationally. We've done a number of television and websites that have sold all around the world. And this coming year, 2009, despite the gloomy economic shadow that's looming over really all over the world, we're really pleased and delighted that we have a really strong, robust year of shows and projects that have been greenlit and are in production this year. I think a lot of companies really in this space, and in the digital space especially, are seeing growth. We're seeing that in larger production companies. We're seeing this in broadcasters. We're seeing it in small, more nimble companies as well. There's just a lot of potential. And what's great is that history will show that innovation is ultimately what will surface in economic times. So we're making sure that we're keeping small, nimble, and that we're trying to react to audience needs and figure out new ways of doing business. And I think we have, like so many companies that are in this space, that traditional media is not the answer now for a lot of clients and a lot of advertisers that want to connect with audiences. So looking for new ways of doing that, and we're hoping that digital will be the answer to that problem. I think the announcement that just came from Canadian Heritage last Monday about basically taking the television fund and the new media fund and combining them together, which will launch spring of next year, it's incredibly exciting, certainly for a company like ours, because we've built the company on the fundamentals of convergence, the idea of creating content for multiple platforms simultaneously, and that fund, the Canadian New Media Fund, which was announced by Heritage, it's meant to reflect that basically it's not just about television anymore, and it's also not just about interactive only, and how do we build brands for the various platforms. And I think you're going to see more companies, hopefully, that like Marble Media, that will emerge because there'll just be so much incentive financially for these types of projects because it'll be mandatory for being able to tap this fund. Creating multimedia or multi-platform content is really challenging. It is constantly evolving for us about what our production process is because it's an industry that hasn't matured yet. So you're constantly trying to figure out ways of communication. Really, it's about communication and collaboration. How do you take TV content creators, writers, designers, directors, and how do you merge them with people that are in the interactive space, designers, programmers, interactive writers? Both are storytellers, both are connecting with audience with content, but they have totally different ways of going about business. So it's constantly a cultural shift to try to figure out how people from these different genres of storytelling can collaborate. We haven't really still found the perfect answer. We've certainly found that a lot of it has to happen in the conceptual stage, that television acts as sort of an upside-down pyramid on how it works. You basically start off with a very simple concept. You have a writer. It's very small collaboration, but it grows in intensity when more and more people come onto the production. And of course, on set, you have like 100 people. In the interactive space, it works a bit differently. It's meant to be very collaborative with all of the teams as they come to figure out what it is that you're going to be building. And then everyone goes and breaks off into their own little corners in their desks and put on their headphones and they create the content. So it's a complete reversal of how television is made. And so you have to sort of figure out from a production point of view, how do you make, again, what is the cross-section of those two cultures, and how do you figure out people of those different mediums to collaborate? It's interesting for us. Certainly, this space is continually evolving. Again, hasn't matured yet, and so I think for us, although we've been doing this since 2001, we've been eating, living, preaching this idea of convergence. The industry still isn't there yet. It was just last week that the government even announced that this is the way funding is going to work in Canada to incentivize this type of content creation. So it's a constant educational process. It's a constant learning process. For our partners and for us, truthfully, because we can preach this as much as we want, but until there's enough success stories of how this is getting created, it's really more hypothetical until we have common practices for how to do this. I'm not sure what's going to come out. I mean, this is what's interesting about this year is everyone's not sure what the predictions are of what's actually going to work. I mean, we're hugely optimistic. I think what we're going to see is the more we create content for various platforms, the more the audiences themselves will be more sophisticated about consuming this content. They'll understand more true 360 storytelling, which means that they watch a TV program, they go online, they learn more about characters, they get seeded with more information, and then they go back to television, and that helps complete a much more holistic approach to the storytelling and the content. But that's still a new principle even for the audience. So the more that this content is created, and it's really all about building stories and brands, I think the more successful it's going to be. And then that's when we can start introducing different ad models that are going to work. People are constantly beating up digital media for, well, where's the business model? We don't actually really care where the business model is. We know that it will come and it will find its place. We're all about audience building right now. That's the fundamentals of what our company believes. If we can build a big audience for all of our projects, even if it's niche, then we have basically information we can figure out a way to attach a sponsor down the road, or at least that's a good calling card for getting a new project going with a sponsor. And that's the thing too, is even if you have a successful project, the next step is going to be figuring out how does advertising ultimately fit into that, because it's a model that's working so well for television, and we really believe it's going to work for the digital space as well. But there's no sense of metrics, and that's what we're still wrestling with.